Hey Amy, this is John from Social Spike Marketing Group. Thanks again for letting me do this video audit on your site and your business. Again, like I mentioned, I'll try to keep it short to about 5-7 minutes and try to give you some pieces of advice that you can utilize to help your business start ranking better on Google. Okay, so first, obviously you put a lot of work into your site. One thing I love that you're doing, and obviously you're aware of this, is your lead generation offers, right? You're to get the library quotes. Obviously, you're going to have to get an email, information, their name. Same thing with the branding guide. I mean, those are great lead gen offers. Not a lot of businesses utilize anything like this. So the fact that that is a great element to start building your list and building your contacts and building trust and rapport with your possible market. Okay, so I'm glad you're doing that. That's great to see. Now, in regards to the optimization, Amy, let me give it a breakdown here, because I've worked with a lot of graphic designers, photographers, videographers, and a lot of the time with these businesses, they really focus on their portfolio, which is important. Obviously, what you're doing, people want to see. You have to showcase that to gain people's attention. The one area where a lot of these business types kind of falter is providing Google with the information that really breaks down what you're doing, right? So I'm going to touch on some of these elements that you can look on improving on. I did do some competitor research, okay, and this is also extremely important with SEO. It's not just all about the technical things. It's about seeing what your competitors are doing and trying to get a one-up on them. Okay, what elements are they utilizing? What are they talking about? What are they doing that maybe you could look at doing better? Okay, that's going to give you the advantage. So I'm going to touch on these points. So first thing that I want to show you is this is your main page, right? Your title of your main page is just home, pixels and pieces. Okay, so you got your branding name there. That's important. We want to see that, but home definitely doesn't describe what this page is. What would that tell Google who you are and what you are based on that? Okay, it doesn't, and that's part of the problem. Now I want to show you some of the competitors that I looked at. Okay, this is J. Gaudette Designs. Look at this. We have JG Designs, graphic design and marketing service, Halifax, Nova Scotia. So right there we have his branding like you do, but the definition, graphic design and marketing services in Halifax. That tells Google graphic design, marketing services, Halifax, Nova Scotia. So what it is, where it is, right? Super important. Let's look over at Crystal Picard. Graphic design and marketing, Halifax, Nova Scotia. Branding, right? Do you see the commonality there? This is important in describing what you're doing and who you are and where you're doing this. Okay, so really look here to improving yours to maybe include graphic design in Halifax, Nova Scotia, pixels and pieces, right? That's a small element that's going to help Google kind of start recognizing exactly what you're doing. Okay. The other elements too, it's important how you situate your page. Okay, so right here, it's hi, I'm Amy, I'm here to empower you. Okay, that's good. Those are good things in terms to have, but it's still not describing to Google what this is. What's your site about? Okay, especially on your home page. Here, I'd like to see something more like best graphic designer in Halifax, Nova Scotia, or empowering graphic designer in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Something like that in your H1 tag. Okay, which would be this here, would be more descriptive to Google of who you are and what you're doing. Okay, and then you can lead into, I'm a full-time graphic designer for small business. I specialize in targeting small businesses. This is why I develop my packages as so. Okay, so start thinking about how you're designing the pages based on those types of keywords. Right now, from my research, I did look at the graphic design niche here in Halifax, and it's not there's obviously a lot of competitors, Amy, but they're not really doing a lot. Okay, they're not doing a whole lot to develop their sites to really explain what they're doing. I mean, I showed you that element on these guys' sites, and again, here look at their brand, their H1 tag, branding and marketing consulting services, explaining what they're doing. Now, this isn't good usability, white on white. I can't read that. So there's elements that they can obviously improve on in their own graphic designs, right? But this is another one I liked here on his homepage, okay? So he starts breaking down the services. So realistically, on your page, I'd like to see more of that. Like maybe right around here, I'd like to see, graphic design services in Halifax, and then break down what you're doing. Logo design, print design. What are the things that you want to specialize in that you can help businesses with, right? Break those down. Now, the biggest advice I can also give you that the vast majority of your competition isn't doing is explaining the services more. Now, Crystal does it a little bit here, right? So I'd have graphic design services, right? And I'd break down each element, right? Look, she kind of does it, but not really completely, right? But I'd like to see more of that on your page, because right now I have portfolio, right? Which, it showcases some of the work you're doing, but I'd like to have more breakdown on the information on digital graphic design. What are the benefits of digital graphic design? Start talking about these things because Google wants to see it, right? Those are user search intents. People are asking about certain elements, like why should I get print design? Like print work right here, right? People want print work. What kind of print work do you do? Explain kind of the different things that you do. Are you doing booklets? Are you doing ebooks? Are you doing business cards, promotional materials? All of these things should be keywords and elements that you're utilizing on your pages. So Google can recognize that. If someone's looking for a business card in Halifax, right? These are all keywords that people are looking for, and they should be represented in your site so you can show up for the results. Okay, so those are some quick things on your website that you can look to start adjusting. It's honestly going to give you an upper hand. It really will, just because, like I mentioned, they're not really utilizing it so much on these sites, right? Like here we can say about me, my work. And again, we go to my work for the vast majority of these businesses, and it's just the pictures, it might be videos, but that's it. It's not really explaining any more information. And that is what I see with almost every type of design, photography, videography. It's the same thing. I literally have talked with a dozen in the last 2 years, and literally every site has been the same in terms of how they showcase what they're doing. And obviously showing the work is important. You want to, because that is what you are trying to sell to your potential market, right? But you're also trying to get people to find it in the first place. And Google needs to know what's going on to be able to do that. So if you took a focus on developing your site more in terms of the actual verbiage and the text and the content, then it's going to have a much bigger impact for your actual business, okay? Now, the other thing I wanted to show you, which is going to be important too, is your backlinks. Okay, this is trying to build your rapport and reputation up with Google, and you have a couple. So obviously a big one is the Chamber of Commerce. They give you a lot of authority, which is great. Okay, but you really should look at adding some local and generic citations and directories that you can put your business information in that will link back to your website. It'll have your name, address, and phone number, which is, I want to touch upon this too, is I would highly recommend, even if you're working from home, to have your address, your business name here, okay? Because you want to make that connection with Halifax and what you're doing, okay? Now, you might get business all across the country, and that's great, but it's going to be hard for someone in Toronto just to put in graphic designer and for you to come up. So you really have to focus on targeting where you can really market yourself, which is going to be Halifax and obviously the surrounding areas, okay? So I'd highly recommend you getting your name, address, and phone number here. Now on Google, your Google profile, which you should keep up to date regularly, you should be posting any pictures that you have related to your work, and any blog posts that you post should be up there as well, okay? But you should really, really look at having that name there. In the Google profile, you can have it as the service area. You don't need to showcase the address and everything like that. If you are afraid, obviously, you don't want to have, say, an address of your home there, which is perfectly fine. In the citations that you might be building, you'll have it there. But most people, no one's going to find your address and hunt you down, okay, if that's anything you're worried about. So don't worry about that. I've done it on 100+ websites that are service-based businesses, and it's never been an issue once. Okay, so really think about that, because you want to build that connection with your site, where you are. Google wants to know that, right? Define that, and that's going to help them really, assert you as a predominant role within the Halifax community for the graphic design elements that you specialize in. Okay, So for backlinks, what I'll do is I'll send you over to my guide, okay, my free guide. I'll have a citation management sheet, which basically will show you the citations you should sign up for. They're free. You'll put your business information in, and that will start building you more authority within Google. Okay, and as we can see here, if I go right to the overview of your page, right now you have a URL of authority of 8 and a domain rating of 0.05, which is extremely low. Okay, so that's not building trust with Google. This is out of 100. Okay, now obviously most local businesses, they typically get between 10, 20 usually in terms of these stats, but that's going to give you more authority locally, and likely compared to your competitors, they probably aren't doing any of these things. So if you took some time, even if it was an hour or two, to start building all those citations and listings, that's going to start building up your authority as well. And then when you tie that in to all the other elements that I mentioned about fixing some of the places on your site, adding some of the titles and elements here, that's going to all connect together and give you, again, an advantage over what I've seen in terms of your local competition. Okay, because they're just not doing any of these things. So it's pretty wide open for an opportunity for you to capitalize on that. Okay, so obviously there's more to the whole optimization game in terms of technicality of the site and content, in terms of blog articles that should be frequent. But those elements I discussed with you today are simple things that you can look at starting to implement that, again, they're going to push the needle forward for you. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be automatically the top result, but it's going to put you in a position where you can start growing and start leapfrogging these other businesses that have been around a little longer than you have, right? So, Amy, I hope some of this information is useful for you today to look at implementing. I didn't want to get too technical with you, just to get some quick, easy wins that you can start capitalizing on. So thank you again for your time. I will send this over to you so you can review, and I'll give you some other free feedback and documents that you can utilize to, again, help your business start moving forward.